welcome to this week's episode of Superhost Down Under. This week we have Will joining us. Welcome to the show, Will.
Hi Ray, hi Silvia, thanks for having me.
Hi, Will. Welcome.
Thank you.
And for our regular weekly topic, Sylvia, what do we have for this week?
Discounts.
Discounts. Okay.
When to give them? When a host should give discounts, and what should be the deciding factors?
Okay.
So, look, the really obvious ones are the longer stays, and Airbnb has two ones set up. So, 7 nights or over, there's a discount. 28 nights or over, there's another discount that you can apply. You don't have to. Now, mine are, they get an 8% discount if they book 7 nights or above, and 12% discount they book 28 nights and above. So I find it's worth giving those discounts. I mean, I'm as happy having shorter term guests as the longer terms. I don't like them staying for months though, because mine is a shared home, so I don't know them. I don't know what they're going to be like sharing with them. So they're my discounts. And I've heard that a host had up 50% for 28 nights or over. So that was, it goes quite extreme. What do the two of you do for those two longer term stays? What discount do you give?
Will, you go. What do you do?
Okay, I do have the 7 night discount in place. I think around the same 8%, and I've probably had, I mean, in the 5 to 6 months that I've been operating, I've had 3 extended stays, about 7 to 10 days. So that seems to work quite well.
And
Do
how
you
do
have a
you?
discount for 28 days or more?
I believe I've put it in. I just haven't seen anyone take advantage of it at this point.
Yeah, it's very hard for anyone to take advantage of that unless they're booking months and months in advance. Because if you've got bookings in advance, even though you may have gaps, it won't be for 28 days. Do you know what I mean? So they're
Mhm.
harder to achieve.
Well, interesting because there's also a setting for how far your calendar is open. I think Sylvia, yours is open very far into the
Forever.
future. Yes,
I
mine's not.
just, yes.
I don't think my calendars are open as far in the future. Mainly for I think something like this because I do have in the North Melbourne property people who will book because it's close to the airport, it's close to the city, Queen Vic markets, and therefore once you park yourself in the unit, you can stay for a while. And some people have surgeries because it's near the hospital. So I've actually had like 6 week bookings, 4 week bookings, international people mainly because they need time to find a longer term rental and they also don't want to have a car. And like your location's great, but mine's an entire home. So they do want to stay that long because they don't have to think about if they're going to be compatible with the host. I think those
Mm.
two things have helped me. I'm curious, how did you both decide on your discount rates? Because I don't set mine, it's set by my co-host who's looking at a lot of pricing engines. So it's based on data sets. Like, how do you decide what percent you want to offer at the different levels?
Well, I use trial and error. So, and if I change my mood, which doesn't happen very often. So,
It's a
for
vibe
example,
check.
if I do, if I don't feel like having longer stays, then I give less of a discount.
Hmm.
That doesn't happen very often. I've had these set for a while,
Hmm.
but look, I still have had the 6 week bookings, but they've had to book months in advance. Because as I say, I'm booked out about 4 months in advance, and I'm not saying every single night for 4 months in advance, but say 3 quarters of the month is booked. So how are they going to fit 28 days in a few days that are available? So look, I had a booking request the other day and it was a year and a half in advance. And I was so taken aback. It was 2027.
Oh, wow.
So, so people do book in advance and that's their only chance of having mine for 28 days or more.
Hmm.
But
How
yeah.
about you, Will?
I think my calendar's only open 12 months in advance.
Hmm.
And I guess everyone's scenario is a bit different. In some ways, I'm better with shorter stays and turning them over
Hmm.
because I'm managing everything myself. So,
Hmm.
um, but that said, you know, a big long booking is desirable as well. But I'm still sort of figuring out. I had someone want March next year, and I've already got someone in for a week of that, and it's like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, I probably need to open my calendar more than 12 months in advance because what I noticed when I first started was the first three bookings were for, I started in June, they're booking December through to March. So
Hmm.
some people are planners.
Mm, I think so.
And
Yes.
others are last minute.
Mm,
And we spoke about this on another episode around the cancellation policies. Like for me, I was very flexible early on. And then I would get these 6 week bookings, and then they would cancel within 48 hours. And then I'm trying to resell these nights at a good rate. And so now I've moved to a fixed cancellation policy. And because it's difficult when, if you're giving away a discount and they're booking all these nights and then they cancel short, like, you're still flexible, Sylvia, on your cancellation policy, or have you changed?
Yes, no, no. I've stayed flexible from day one, which was 11 years ago. Um, I look, I get bookings easily. I think it's the
Hmm.
location and the price. So when I get a cancellation, I don't worry about it. I usually get a replacement quite quickly.
Hmm.
If I don't, I just go, yeah, space, it's okay. I can do a few things, do some more deep cleaning while guests aren't here, and have some friends over for a lunch or a dinner. It's rare though. Like my vacancy rate is very very low, and so yeah, if I do get a cancellation, it'll usually be replaced. Um, but the other discounts that we can talk about is, which is again offered on Airbnb, is early bird and last minute. Now,
Hmm.
early bird makes absolutely no sense to me. If you're a hotel, and I get why an early bird discount makes sense because they get the money in advance, right? So
Hmm.
they get to use that money well in advance. However, with the Airbnb platform, the host does not receive the money till the guest has come in 24 hours, has been in the property for 24 hours. That's fine. So, what is the point of me giving someone a discount if they've booked months in advance? I'm not going to get the money. So, why am I offering a discount?
Hmm.
So, early bird, I don't do at all. Last minute, I think, is a good idea. So, I think, and the policy I recommend to a lot of my friends who are hosts is have your price, your nightly price set quite high in advance, and
Hmm.
then you'll get some of that booked. And then gradually, as you get closer to those dates, you can monitor and bring the price down. And then, of course, the last minute, you could possibly bring it down
Hmm.
a little bit more if you've got vacant nights and if you want those booked. So that makes a lot more sense to me, giving a last minute discount rather than an early bird discount.
I do I think I do a little bit of both. I do a long stays discount, and I do a last minute one to fill the gaps because yeah,
Mm.
it's a business for me, so I want to do it. How about you, Will? Like, what are your
uh,
thoughts?
I have the last minute discount built in, but I've also found if I have gaps, what's working is I jump on, just have a look at what's available in the area,
Hmm.
how the pricing is,
Hmm.
and adjusting.
You match it.
Yeah, I guess
Hmm.
you've got to be in it to win it. And if someone's looking in the area, they're
Hmm.
similar properties. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I'm still in trial and error stage. There's probably,
Yeah, an Airbnb actually shows a guest if there is a discount. So, what I mean by that, if a guest is searching and they put in 3 nights, Airbnb when they bring up the search results, what is actually shown is the original price, and it's crossed off, and then it shows the reduced price.
Hmm.
So I think that's encouraging for a guest wanting to book because then they see, oh, I'm getting a discount. So they're actually aware that you've put a discount in there. And the other type of discount I wanted to talk about, which can be quite a lengthy subject, but we won't make it lengthy, is guests who are unhappy for whatever reason. Um,
Hmm.
so a friend of mine who's a host called me and said, "Look, this guest is complaining about a cockroach. What do I do?" And Sydney's subtropical climate, it's inevitable that you're going to get the odd cockroach. We've
Hmm.
discussed this as well. Not I'm not talking a cockroach infestation. Of course, I'm talking about the odd cockroach because they're around. They love the Sydney climate. So I said to her, look, there's a few things you could do. You could, well, she did have insect spray under the sink in the cupboard, so suggest that. Suggest going over there and spraying the borders of the property. It was an apartment. And the other thing you can do is say, look, and they only had one night left. They'd already stayed 2 or 3 nights. You can say, you can leave and I'll refund you the money for the last night. And then the fourth option was, I'll give you a discount
Hmm.
for the entire stay, like 10%. They chose the discount
Hmm.
and stayed. They stayed an extra night, chose the discount. My friend refunded them the money at 10% through send money through the Airbnb app
Hmm.
on that particular booking. So that was fine. The review came through, and it was still not a great review. That, in fact, when I read it, I thought these are nasty people. The way they described everything was really awful. And then I said to my friend, "Well, Ray has reached out to his guests." And asked them, to remove it because of, valid reasons. Try that. And she put it together, a really good email, but they wouldn't remove it. They were still very nasty people.
Hmm.
Um, but however, the reason I thought of giving a discount, and unfortunately it didn't work as far as the review went, but it did work as far as the guest staying, and she didn't lose a night's accommodation.
Hmm.
The reason I thought of that is like when I was in Italy this year, and I did a lot of accommodation with Airbnb, traveling around Italy. There was a situation in Venice where we arrived and it had not been cleaned. The beds had not been made. There was still unclean sheets, towels in the bathroom. It hadn't been cleaned at all. I took photos, sent it to the host. I said, this hasn't been cleaned. She was very apologetic and she um, offered us a discount. We didn't ask for a discount. We just wanted it cleaned ASAP. Fortunately, we arrived in the afternoon, so there was time. We went out and toured Venice a little bit while the cleaner came and prepared it for us. So that host actually gave us a discount without us asking for it, and that really worked for us. Like we just went, oh, this host is really trying. There's been some hiccup in her system and the cleaner may not have been told or whatever. And so she's doing her best and she's offering us a discount to compensate. And that was fine. Then I went to another one where we arrived, four of us, there was no hot water. It was cold. She obviously, the host obviously knew that the water was cold because I didn't even mention it. And she sends us a video on how to turn on the hot water. It was very complicated. It took three of us, and my cousins speak Italian. So we were on the phone to her trying to figure out how to turn on the hot water. That left a really bad taste in our mouth, and she did not offer a discount. And in fact, I think in that situation, she really should have. I didn't ask for a discount, it was only one night. But I remember in my mind, the one that offered us a discount, how I felt about her, and the one that didn't, how I felt about her. And that's why I suggested to my friend whose guest had seen a cockroach to offer a discount. What do you both think of all those examples of discounts?
Will you go?
Um, I guess I haven't had that scenario, and I'm in two minds. As I guess we're going to encounter all sorts of guests, and there'll be genuine concerns, and then
Mm.
you know
And then
incidents.
professional complainers.
Yeah, well, that's right. So I'm in two minds. It's like a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Mm. So you haven't had anyone asking for a discount
Not so
yet.
far, no.
Okay,
Oh,
Ray?
I have people who don't explicitly ask for a discount, but they raise issues. Like I had a guest from Sydney who stayed and then sent me photos of the unit with all the lights off and said, the unit doesn't look like the photos. Are you sure the photos are of the unit?" And I said, "Yes, I can guarantee. Like, I've gutted that apartment and designed it with a team and renovated it. It is my style and it's my project." And they're like, "Well, it's been sunny outside all day and this is how dark it is in the unit and it's with all the lights off and it's in the afternoon." And so it actually went back and forth for a while. I sent my co-host there to actually talk through where all the light switches are because we have a different set. We have like cove lighting. So there's like under the counter lighting, there's like above counter lighting, there's wall mounted lamps, so the dimmers on the top light. So and they're in different spots. So I sent my co-host there to show the guest where all the lights were, and also had to confirm that in the photos the lights are all on and it's sunny. So in order to replicate that, it needs to be sunny and the lights need to be on. And I have no control over the weather during their stay. And so they're like, "Well, what happens if it doesn't get resolved by tomorrow? What are you going to do?" And I was like, "Well, I have no control over the weather, so I can't guarantee it will get resolved. But I understand that you're unhappy with the the lighting situation in the unit, and um, if it bothers you, please raise this with Airbnb and see what options they can offer you." And they did, and then Airbnb gave me this similar to Tanya's story. Like, they said your guest has complained about like the lighting, the accuracy of the listing. You have 1 hour to respond before we decide, which is a really difficult thing, and it's important for our guests to know that when there's a dispute, you have 1 hour. And for Tanya, it was in the middle of the night.
Hmm.
Um, that's very stressful. That at any time, 24/7, a guest can complain, and you have 1 hour to respond before Airbnb decides. I was driving. I was 20 minutes away from home. It stressed me out. I pulled over and I read it. I actually got some help with some AI to like read through the thread. I'm dyslexic, so I like had it read through and I was like, "Help me respond," and I dictated my response and it like refined it. But basically the way I got to dispute the accuracy claim was I had close to 90 reviews, and in those 90 reviews I have a 4.9 on accuracy. So I said, the photos have been shown for these 90 guests who have all rated it 4.9 in accuracy. This is very unlikely that the photos are of a different unit and it's not accurate. So, and weather is not something in my control. So I will not be offering, because Airbnb asked me if I'd be willing to give a discount, and I said no because weather is not something I can control, and also the lights are off, so it's not apples and apples. And so they're like, "Fine, great." So I went back to the guest and told them that I refused to give the discount, which is great to have a third party because it diffuses the
Mm.
situation when there's someone in the middle. I find that's also a case like when I have like I have my manager contact clients, and then like when they talk about money in terms, it's no longer about me. So it's similar with Airbnb. It's like when a guest is upset, often they will get stuck in these thoughts of like they're not happy with the booking. You are the owner of it. It's you. But having Airbnb as a third party mediate has been really helpful for me
Mm.
because it's another person who helps them feel like seen and heard, and then also they translate the message in a way, and they're talking to the guest, and their interaction is not triggering them versus like when they're talking to the host, and it also prevents the host from getting emotional because you're not feeding off of each other's dissatisfaction. So it was great. Airbnb declined it, I don't know if I got a review. I should actually check. But again, it's something that we talk about with our guests is that there's going to be a guest who gives you a bad review, and we can't control it, but we just hope for the long-term average that like you do enough good work that like it shows through in your long-term ratings, but also the comments. Like if you have 10 comments where people are like, this is such a great unit, I'd love to come back. One person is like, it was terrible, I had a terrible time. And you respond to it and you're professional. I think that's more important than like trying to keep a 5-star rating.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to have a third party like Airbnb for an independent view of it.
Yeah. Yes,
Mm.
exactly. Well, let's get into this week's story. Will, tell us about the property and also why you decided to get started
Uh,
in Airbnb.
okay, so I have a Airbnb property, a one bedroom, sort of, I call it New York style apartment in De Grave Street in the heart of Melbourne. I'm a long term CBD liver. I own just a couple of blocks away from this particular apartment. And, I love the lifestyle of Melbourne CBD living, and, you can see the tourists everywhere. So I just chanced upon this apartment, and, De Grey Street is a quite a unique tourist destination. It's mostly a pedestrian street, and it's lined with cafes and businesses. So it's got a really sort of European feel to it. So I think when I look at reviews and I chat to guests, they just absolutely love the location, and I think it's quite a unique apartment too, which makes it quite appealing.
I think it's
What,
nicknamed the Parisian side of Melbourne.
Yes.
Go on, Sylvia.
um, were you looking for a property, an investment property along D Grave Street, or just CBD in general?
Well, all my family are Gold Coast based, so I think for about three
Ah,
years we liked the idea of having a bolt hole here in Melbourne for um, family to stay. So uh, yes, it was CBD in general. In particular, sort of heritage buildings were appealing, and we probably missed out on three properties before we found this particular one. And it's like it was just meant to be, because there was always something in the others that I just wasn't quite happy with. But the first time I walked into this space and I just saw, 4 meter ceilings, it was double glazed beautifully, so it just felt calm. And then as I exited the foyer for the first time, I was like, wow, I could be transported back to Paris. Um, yeah, the feeling was just good. So I was like, I know this is right. We've now just got to get it and not miss out. And so thankfully we did.
and it's a warehouse conversion?
It's, well, it's the building's what's known as the Mutual Store apartment. So it was originally one of Melbourne's first department stores. So every apartment's unique in the building. We've got a corner, so we benefit from lots of windows and natural light, and huge ceilings. So it's actually a two-bedroom apartment, but I lock off the second bedroom and just focus on letting it out as a one bedroom. Just um, yeah, we think we'll get less issues if we just focus on one bedroom style for guests.
So, what's in the second bedroom? Is it always locked up and never available to guests?
It's available to family and friends.
Ah,
I think I've had one guest love the stay so much and said, "Oh, if we were to bring our daughter with us, would you consider letting the second bedroom?" And I think, uh, yeah, if I know who these people are, we would consider it. But I also just think operationally, one bedroom's working really well, and it actually allows me some storage space, and I can quickly flip from one state to another. Whereas if we let out two bedrooms, it just adds, that extra linen change and that kind of thing. So I think for the most part, they'll
I,
just be one bedroom.
I know hosts who manage studios, one bedders and two bedders, and also three bedders. And the two and the three are much harder to um, get bookings, whereas the studios and the one bedders just have constant bookings because, especially city in the city,
Mm.
because they're easy, they're better priced. Travellers are usually single or a couple, so and you probably don't earn that much more with the two bedroom. I mean, of course you'd get a better nightly rate, but not
But
double.
yeah, see, for me,
Well,
I feel like it opens up, four friends bunking in together and sneaking a fifth person on the lounge. It's like I know what I was like in my uni days, and I'm just not interested in that sort of guest. So I think
mm,
focusing on professional singles, couples
mm,
seems to be working well. And the reality is for people visiting Melbourne is for the most part, they come stay 3, 4 nights, leave the place beautifully. They're out exploring. They're not really in the apartment much. So it's yeah, it's working well just as a one bedroom, and you can see the wear and tear from luggage and things like that over time, and it's minimizing the amount of guests. Actually, I think it's in the long term the best approach.
what were your biggest hesitations or concerns when you were thinking about getting into this?
Well, there weren't too many, but I guess in the back of your mind, you're just conscious of, is someone going to cause,
Damage.
damage to your property? And, simple things like you've got a smart TV that's worth $2,000, and if someone's not careful
Hmm.
with angling it, you know, yeah, you just hope that everyone cares for the space.
And how has it
Mm.
been? Have you had much damage?
No, nothing actually. It's all going smoothly. Everyone's been super happy. It's presented nicely, and I think I try and meet most guests, and that generally works quite well
It
because
does.
you definitely
It puts a
notice
face.
that yeah, they know who's looking after it, and I can tell if I haven't met them, which if they're checking in late at night, I'm not going to do that. There's just little things people, yeah, if they don't know who's the owner, you can just see there's a little less care shown at the end as they're leaving.
Mm. When they
So
meet the person
yeah,
behind the listing.
Mm.
when you can't meet them, how do they get in?
Well, there's an Easy Mart that's open till midnight. So there's a platform called Your Locker that you can book, drop a key. Um, so that works quite well. And then I've had the odd stay where people arrive, after midnight, and I've had to come up with another solution there, which has evolved into a lockbox in my personal letterbox, which is about 5 minutes away from the building. So it enables them to access after hours and let themselves in.
Mm.
And then tell us about how you said it's well presented. I know you're a big fan of design and interiors. Tell me your thought process and your intention of what was your inspiration and what was the vibe you were going for?
Oh, what was the vibe? I think, well, it's all set by the massive windows and the ceiling height, really,
Mhm.
and its outlook. Uh, I think it's interesting when you see a property, purchase it, you do the settlement inspection, and everything is out, and it's like, oh wow, okay, the walls are tired, the flooring is tired.
Yeah.
So, simple things like a fresh coat of paint. We ripped out carpet and put down floorboards. So
Hmm.
it was a good blank canvas. And I love collecting design pieces and secondhand furniture. Um, so with 3 years of hunting for a property, I've been slowly sort of accumulating things and working with local, Instagram sellers, and just found some really interesting furniture pieces that I think add to the whole experience.
Okay, I have a question there, personal question. Like it's for my own benefit.
Mm.
I purchased a Falcon chair
Oh
in
yes. Have you sold it yet?
2020. No.
No?
So like for people like me or like people like you who are looking for pieces, what advice do you have on where people like me can go sell my Falcon chair?
Hmm.
But also people like you who want to furnish their place with something beyond a flat pack IKEA vibe. Where can they look to find these unique pieces? Where what do you recommend?
Well, I think it's Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree.
Okay.
There's a lot of Instagram businesses, so just following them. And then, Marketplace is great because you can save particular searches. And the minute, let's say in De Graves, I've got a USM Holler highly desirable entertainment unit,
Hmm.
very collectible. The second it popped up, I was like, I have to have this, and
Mm.
you got to be quick with certain pieces. So I think Pinterest is good for inspiration too, and you've got to research what you like, and then I guess constantly search. But I'm at the point now where I've got no more space for furniture, so I've got to stop looking.
Well, if anyone listening wants a Falcon chair with cognac leather seats that's been refurbished, let me know. Send me a message. And also, I might ask you, Will, for some help
Yeah, can
to
do.
list
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
What about parking, Will? Do you get many guests asking about parking? Do they arrive with cars?
I do occasionally, and I'm very explicit in the listing that there is no parking. There's plenty of options for CBD parking. Um, I don't know. My gut feel is parking. I'm quite it opens up to people with a lot of stuff, and I'm actually more comfortable, I think, with guests that have flown in, arrived from the airport. They've got less stuff. They're going to be more comfortable. Um, yeah,
It's true, yeah. The ones on a road trip usually come with so much luggage.
I think the
Um,
business traveler is a good market for you,
yes, that's
like
kind
executive.
of executive traveler. That's what I had in my head as we're furnishing things, and
Yes.
yeah, I think they're good for repeat business too.
Yes, I have someone in the cosmetic industry, like surgery industry, and this guest books repeatedly wrote a really great review, said it's the best stay in South Yarra that they've had in years. And I get long bookings, like more than a week, repeatedly, several times a year. Just low maintenance because you also don't need to support the check-in process because they know where everything is and
Yeah.
they just know. It's really good. I offer okay, on top of discounts, I give a returning guest discount
Okay.
for like the guests I
mm,
like. Yeah. And so that way, like if they like it and I know they like it and they were low maintenance guests, why would I not reward them
Mm.
to book more in my calendar than having to answer more questions? There's a win-win. So I'd like to add the discounts to the list of returning guests. I reward
yes.
them like a loyalty. Yeah. Um, what features or requests have you been surprised with from your guest demographic, Will,
Uh,
if any?
there's not a lot. I mean, I have one memorable guest that just was question after question after question after question.
Hmm.
It was all in the listing, and then when they arrived, they were familiar with the building,
Hmm.
spoke of the old building manager, and it was just bizarre. And yeah, my next gut feel if someone asks a million questions is I just don't think they're the guests for us.
So did you turn those guests away or what's your booking process? Is it instant book? Do you screen them all? What's
It's instant book, yes.
okay. Instant book in exclusive of their number of reviews because mine's instant book if they have enough reviews.
Uh, no, I've had some stay with no reviews, so I'm
With instant book, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm. And do you add additional short-term rental insurance for your unit on top of air cover?
yes,
Good. Nice.
And you manage it all yourself,
yes,
Will.
yes, yeah.
The cleaning as well.
At the moment, yes, yeah.
How do you balance this with your other work, Will?
Well, I mean, it's been an interesting 12 months, right? But I've had, yeah, I've got out of a finance role and I've had a bit of flexibility around the time that
Hmm.
we launched this. So that was really great. And fortunately, through this process of, finding the apartment, launching it, I've now joined a real estate business, a boutique agency in the city as well. So it's quite complementary in terms of um, managing it myself. I've been at open homes in my building and then bumped into buyers in DeGrave Street, getting to know other owners. So, there's a few Airbnbs in that particular building. So, being on the ground and doing it myself, I've got to know other Airbnbers and hear their challenges. And at the end of the day, at least I can rely on myself to get things done. I've heard of other
Hmm.
circumstances where, the cleaning really wasn't up to scratch. There's some horror stories out there of what
Mm.
people have dealt with. So for now, whilst it's manageable, yeah, it's working well.
Hmm. What are your future plans for the place? Any upgrades, changes, expansion? Like what are
Uh,
you thinking?
the latest upgrade was we installed an aircon, and
That's
um,
massive.
yeah,
Mm.
and it's funny. It's like, oh, anything that's meant to be super straightforward, I've learnt never is, and
Yeah.
ended up being 3 or 4 days of visits to get this air conditioner done.
Hmm.
And it all came from a place of let's get ahead of having a guest stay and an issue,
Hmm.
um, to a tradesman turning up to quote and then
Hmm.
suddenly wanting to rip the aircon off and disappear for 3 days. So it was just, yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I guess I've just learned that best not to book things in when you're expecting a guest in the afternoon.
Mm.
And thank goodness it was my parents. So this time around, we could deal with it.
I think that's very good advice is having that buffer. I've had buffers for like a sofa delivery that was delayed by weeks, and if I had guests booked to move in, they would have no sofa. And similar to I had to replace the vanity mirror that was custom cut glass mirror circular. Um, I just blocked out the night and the next day just to give a chance in case something gets delayed with the tradies and then they get another opportunity to install. So now every time there's something, I give myself like two, three opportunities to do it in case they fall through. Like this really like impacts having trust issues, but like having some contingency
Mm.
because things happen unexpectedly and it just becomes more stressful when you have no contingency and it's back to back. Hmm.
I
And
found
go on.
that like some of my host friends who have Airbnbs nearby me need small furniture delivered or some small items. I say, well, um, give them my address, have it delivered to my place, and
Mhm.
then when you've set it up, you take it across to your Airbnb in between guests. But if you have it delivered to your place, is the guest going to be responsible for accepting the delivery?
Mhm.
No, I mean that's not right. You may need to put some pieces together. You can't do that. You've got to do it away from the place. If what your Airbnb is an entire home. So with mine again, there's more flexibility because it's shared. So if I would say for any Airbnb host, that would be the best thing if they can have the deliveries come to their place or a friend's place that is close to the Airbnb that they're booking out, then that would be the best idea to have it all set up when they take the furniture across. Of course, you can't do that with large furniture, and that's when it gets really tricky and it becomes, like what you're talking about, Ray, giving yourself different options.
Yeah, because at a in a building like mine, you have to book the loading dock. So you can't
It's
just be like, oh,
complicated.
and then it could be booked out when the delivery wants to happen. So you need some contingency. Like maybe you don't book the loading dock and you just go late at night and you just have someone help you drive the van away as soon as you unload. And then you carry it with friends. But I think it's those, I've had many of those hacky nights, days, trying to get things in on time. It's quite stressful. What is the most stressful part of managing this property all by yourself, Will?
Uh, I think it was the early days was the stressful part. I think you just, I mean, I've only got one bad review and I took it super personally and I knew there was nothing I
We
could
all
do
do.
about it. But
We all do,
I
yeah.
think I'm
Just
less,
wait till you get another one. Just kidding. No.
yeah, I think for the most part, it's not particularly stressful. I'm confident that we've set it up super comfortably, that everyone should really have a great stay. And, you know, um, yeah, once the guests are in, and I think some guests are slow to communicate. And so when you've got a couple of bookings landing in a week, I do have to plan how to let them in. Is it going to be me? Do they need to go to the pickup point or is it after hours? And some guests are really great at communicating early and others like to leave it last minute. But I think I've worked out what works best and being super clear with guests that it's like, you know what, let me know once you've arrived at the airport and you've got your bags and you're on your way, because that gives me a really good sense of how long it's going to take them to get in the city. Whereas there's in other times where I wasn't so explicit, they'd be like, oh, we're 10 minutes away. And I could make that work because I am up the road, but I'm not always going to be able to do that. So,
Mhm.
but it's great that 80 meters from the property, there's an easy mart. So if my day changes and I need to go, oh, I'm not available to meet them, I can just run down the road, drop off a key, shoot the guest a message, and yeah, it all seems to work. So I've worked out contingencies so that if I'm not available, or if it's not going to plan or they're delayed, we've got other options.
And what advice do you have finally for someone who's aspiring to get started, given the lessons that you've learned?
Well, I think the hardest part is just get started. The
Hmm.
Airbnb platform's super easy to navigate and get your photos done, upload them, you know, use AI to help you generate a really decent description. And as time evolves, you can rework things, change your subject line, work out what photo resonates with people. Just it's sort of trial and error. I think Silvia, you mentioned once on a one of the podcasts that freshening your listing or changing a photo, there's algorithms potentially in the Airbnb background. So I definitely think refreshing every now and then just helps with the amount of hits that you get and the amount of views that you get.
Mm. Would
Great.
you get a? Would you buy another one and start a second one?
Uh, y- yes, actually, I down the track one day potentially. I think yeah, once you get it all established and your bookings in, and you just figure out the quirks of the property, it's quite easy to run. And yeah, I do have capacity to look after other properties, definitely.
What would your next place look like?
I still love CBD, and what works is proximity to me.
Hmm.
I don't want to become an Airbnb host with a van driving around town. I love walking distance, so it would probably be in the same building or in a neighboring building. Majorca building down that way is beautiful.
Mm.
Well, my building actually. So yeah, who knows?
I think the city properties, you're more likely to have bookings all year round, even in the low season of being winter. I think you're more likely to have bookings 7 days a week all year round, whereas maybe the coastal or the, something outside of the CBD might be more for weekends. I'm not saying they
That's
won't
not
get.
true, Sylvia. My place in South here and North Melbourne are booked out on the weekends and throughout the year, including the winter.
There was a
Yeah, but that's
really
the city one,
interesting.
right?
Sorry?
That's a city one.
I mean, I wouldn't consider South Yarra is not in the city. Like, I don't
City
think you can
fringe,
walk
but
it.
great
No, I'm
City
desirable
talking
fringe.
area.
about country or coast. I'm
Oh,
talking. I mean, because
oh, regional.
yeah, regional, but
Okay.
I talked to a lot of hosts, and the ones that do have country and
Yeah,
coastal ones outside of the
more
city,
difficult to get to. For yes,
yeah, they
yeah,
tend
less.
to be weekend ones. So,
Mm,
they might get a great rate on the weekends or
hmm
during school holidays,
hmm
Easter break, Christmas, all of that, they're
hmm
booked out, but then the rest of the time they're not. Whereas a city one is more likely to be booked out all year round.
I'm a boutique specialist sales agent in the city for Melbourne boutique property. So
Yes.
if anyone, wants help with investment properties or, advice on Airbnb or property in general, feel free to drop me a line.
Great. And Sylvia, was there any other questions you wanted to ask?
No,
Okay.
I'd love to stay at Will's place.
Welcome you anytime,
I've been
Silvia.
wanting I've been wanting to come to Melbourne for a long time, so I'll
2026.
definitely
Treat yourself. Come
I'll
see a show
definitely
and do a
I
nice
know,
dinner.
and and being in Degrave Street, how wonderful.
Yes, and then just wander the city. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic, Will. Well done
Thank
on your
you.
first 6 months.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
read some of your reviews. They're amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, they're ticking along nicely.
Very
No,
good.
good.
Well, thank you very much, Will, for your time
Thanks, Ray.
and being
Thanks,
on our show.
Silvia.